Hello and welcome to the Travels with Kev podcast. I am Kev. I am the host of this show and the Kev behind travelswithkev.com. And my goal is to serve beginner travelers, help them get started, help intermediate travelers maybe fill in a few gaps that they might have, or anybody else who has questions about riding the rails. At least that is where our goal is right now with the podcast and the website. So let's get started on today's topic. Today's topic is Amtrak's Acela trains. These are the high-speed trains found on the Northeast Corridor. They're not the only trains in the Northeast Corridor. There's also the Northeast Corridor regional trains that Amtrak runs using Amfleets and electric locomotives. And then also there are regional trains and even some freight trains that do run on that corridor. And the corridor, for the most part, the bulk of that is between Washington, D.C. and Boston. Depending on where you need to go on the corridor, Acela can add a nice touch of class and comfort to your trip. This podcast will help guide you through the basics of Amtrak Acela and gain insight into whether or not this is the right train for your next trip. As I said before, the endpoints of Amtrak's Acela is Washington, D.C. and Boston, Massachusetts, including some, we'll get into all the intermediate stops later, but it also includes like New Haven, New York, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Baltimore, and more. What makes Amtrak Acela different than the other Northeast Corridor trains? Well, the first thing is the train set itself. It has two powerful locomotives, one on each end of a semi-permanently put-together consist, which means if there's a car that needs work or something, that whole train set is down versus the other trains in the Northeast Corridor where if there's a car that went down, they can simply replace it. The train sets are, like I said, semi-permanently put together. You technically can take them apart, but it's not an easy feat to do. I'm not a train mechanic, so I can't get into all those details. With this type of train set, it allows it to do more. It allows the train to lean when it comes to curves. It allows it to take curves faster. There's a lot of advantages to this type of a train set and some disadvantages too. The greatest advantages, I kind of went over. The disadvantage is you can't make the train longer or shorter depending on needs. So it is what it is, and the current train sets, while are on the older side, are still a great running train. It's very comfortable. I was on it a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed my time on the train. So let's talk about what accommodation does Amtrak Acela offer. Amtrak Acela offers two types of accommodations, business class and first class. Now this is different than most Amtrak trains on the corridor. Normally it offers coach and business class. So this starts off at business class and then goes up to first class. Seats are facing both ways, so you could ride backwards. I know some people have a thing about that. But there's some neat things about this to help prevent a surprise on your day of travel. We'll talk about that later. Amtrak Acela's business class offers reserved seating with free changes. So if you get a seat that might be facing backwards on the train, you can change that in the app, and it shows you what the direction of travel is. So that allows you to change that free of charge, providing there are open seats. And you have to do that before boarding, but more on that later. One other nice advantage of the train itself, this goes for both business and first class because it's all one train, there are fewer stops on the Northeast Corridor, so the trips are faster because of the train speed, and there are also less spots. Like all Amtrak trains, there are electrical outlets plus a tray at every seat. This train also offers conference tables between some of the seats. So you can choose when you're picking seats if you just want a regular seat with a seat tray or if you want to work at a table. So that could work well if you're traveling with somebody else working on a project. There are adjustable lights and, like I said, large tray tables, overhead bins, and a luggage rack. And there's a quiet car. So let's quickly talk about quiet cars. My main experience with quiet cars has been on Amtrak's Hiawatha, but the concept is the same. For me, the Amtrak quiet car, when it works the way it's supposed to, it's a magical place. These cards are where you do not hear cell phones or conversations, and any conversations are in a library-type atmosphere and short. Anything that rings or pings should be put on silent or vibrate, and headphones are mandatory for anything that makes noise. Like I said, my experience with the Midwest quiet cars is they are self-policing, and other passengers will remind others to be quiet. I may have reminded people of the rules in the past. While Amtrak quiet cars are not a booking option, you can change your reservation to that quiet car at any time. Amtrak first class. I have ridden in both first class. My last trip was on first class. I had a free upgrade from being an Amtrak Select Plus member, and my first time was on business class. So I have done both accommodations. First class is nice. Amtrak's first class offers everything that business class does, but there is not a first class quiet car. But you get some other added bonuses. The car is a little quieter than typical business class. First class seating is has different choices, including 2x2 or 1x2 seatings, and both have options for tables, so you can sit across from each other, or seat trays. Priority boarding at select stations is available. Complimentary at-seat meal service, which is very nice, and access to station lounges and more. You also get free beverages, including the adult kind. Amtrak Acela has assigned seats, as you learned from the last section. Amtrak randomly assigns you a seat when you make your reservation, but you can change it any time before boarding, providing that there are still seats available. Like I said before, there is not a fee to change your seat, but remember to change it in the system and don't just take a random seat when you get on the train. And reminder, if you want a seat in the quiet car, that you need to make that change. The sooner the better, because there are first come, first serve with reservations. And you can make the reservations either on the website or in the app. They make it really easy. It kind of looks like airline, how you can pick your seats on an airline if you have done that. My first experience with Acela, I went with my friend Sean, and we were supposed to get seats across from each other at a table, and somebody decided to just take one of our seats. And he's like, yeah, they're not honoring the reserved seats. And we're like, well, we picked them, but we didn't make much of a stink because it was, we're still sitting by each other. And then the conductor came by and reminded him that he was in the wrong seat. So they do take that seriously. And it's just kind of rude if somebody did pick their seat or was expecting that seat and you're sitting in there. So if you want to make changes, that's fine. Just do it ahead of time. Food service on Amtrak's Acela. Anybody on the train can use Acela's cafe car, offering food and drinks, but they are not complimentary. The cafe has a place for you to enjoy your purchases, or you can bring them back to your seats. You can bring food and drink onto the train, but you need to purchase alcohol beverages on the train, and you cannot bring any food that you brought onto the train into the cafe car. And like I said before, if you are in first class, you have at-seat service, so they will bring you beverages and meals right to your seat. They have a nice selection of with the first class options. The meal choices rotate about every 3 weeks or so, and then every quarter or so, then they change out all of those menus. So if you're on it all the time, you get a selection of food. There's breakfast options, and then lunch and dinner are the same options. And like I said, they have drinks and basically bottomless drinks. They'll probably cut you off if you get unruly. And if you are in first class, Acela meals come on a tray containing real dishes with silverware and cloth napkins. I know that's very important for some people. Meal choices, like I said, include breakfast in the morning, lunch, and dinner share the same offerings. And they also have soft drinks, you can get coffee and water and that sort of stuff. Is there Wi-Fi on Amtrak's Acela? Yes, Amtrak offers complimentary Wi-Fi geared to those train sets. There could be some tunnels or spots that could cause the Wi-Fi to blip or have short dead spots. Perks of first class. As I stated before, Acela's first class includes meals and drinks, but it also has more depending on where you're starting. You can use the lounge if your adventure starts in Washington, D.C., Boston South Station, New York Penn Station, or Philadelphia. These lounges give you priority boarding and early track access, plus light snacks and beverages in the lounge, and possibly more. So let's go over the stops of Amtrak's Acela. It either starts or ends at the Boston South Station, Boston Back Bay Station, Route 128 in Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island, New Haven, Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut, New York at New York Penn Station or Midlothian Train Hall, I think that's how you pronounce it, Newark, New Jersey, Metro Park, New Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Delaware, Baltimore, Maryland Penn Station, and Baltimore, Maryland Airport, and Washington, D.C. Can you bring your pets on the train? Small dogs and cats can go on Amtrak's Acela along with you as you ride the train. Before you go, check to see what types of pets are allowed, pet reservations and fares, approved cat carriers, and all the other details. I will try to have a link in the show notes on that topic. A wrap up. While boarding Amtrak's Acela is similar to any other trains, there are a few things that are different. Some stations mark the platform where you should stand and wait for your card, and this is to help reduce loading time. So, why should you pick Acela? Often Acela is the fastest option, so if time is a factor in your adventure, this could be a great reason to take this train. This train set offers more legroom, better luggage space, and a more comfortable and smoother ride as you roll down the track than traditional Amtrak equipment and other regional trains. Why shouldn't you pick Acela? If you're on a budget and the compromise of a smoother ride doesn't fit, or another train might fit your budget better, maybe Acela is not for you. Also, Acela might not go where you need to go. In some cases, a local regional train might be more economical than even Amtrak. The future of Acela. The current train sets date from around 2000 or so. There's about 20 of these train sets, and they are getting older. And so soon, the new Liberty train sets should start going into service. A little more modern look, a little sleeker, newer, and they're being tested. I've seen some of the train sets while I've been traveling, and they look really cool. Given the option, I would certainly ride Acela again. I really enjoy the train sets. I really like first class. I like the food and the free drinks. While I was on there, I had breakfast. I had sausage, eggs, and potatoes with a croissant, and I had a Bloody Mary. And then I was able, as a good Wisconsin boy, to have a beer chaser. And that was just all part of the deal. So I hope you got something out of this podcast about Amtrak Acela, maybe inspired you to go to the Northeast Corridor and give that train a try. I want to let you know, just in case you're not aware, that there is a website that goes along with this, the travelswithkev.com website. And I invite you to visit it. There's a lot of information about Amtrak on there and more coming out all the time. And if you're getting something out of this and want to give back, there are several ways you can do that. You can go to travelswithkev.com/serve, and there's some information of if you want to help sponsor it. Also, we are now on Patreon. Stuff set up on Patreon. Patreon.com/travelswithkev, all one word. And there's levels start off at $5, and you can, at the $5 level, I'm working on some new stuff, but you can get a postcard from me once a month. And then as you go up, there's going to be some webinars and stuff like that. And at the $15 a month level, you get a Amtrak Comfort Kit or some other Amtrak branded product once a year. And you can also get a chance to work with me as part of that membership. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to turn it over to my niece, Mackenzie, and I hope you have a great day and see you out on the rails. Safe travels. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Travel with Kev podcast. Bye.